So I am a third year student. I'm right now doing the B+MM program. So I'm getting my bachelor's of arts and I'm majoring in psychology. And then after that, I'm going to be doing my master's of management. I was working as a child support worker assistant at a transition house for women and children fleeing abuse. I was really fortunate that the job was actually on site. So I got to work in person during COVID, and my kind of main role there was to solicit donations for food, money, and services to be able to coordinate a COVID-safe summer program for the families. Yeah, so I actually sent in 8 applications and I got interviewed for 2. I was very lucky to get my first interview with my first application, and I think it shows that interviews don't always come quickly and easily. Like, I attribute getting that interview to a connection I made with an employer at the co-op conference, and I expressed my interest, asked a lot of questions. It really fit with what I was studying, and I felt like it could not have been a more perfect job. This was all pre-COVID, so we went and did an in-person interview at a really crowded coffee shop, which seemed so strange. And they told me they would get back to me by the end of March. And, me thinking this was the perfect opportunity, I held out and was not going to apply to any other jobs because this was my job. And then COVID hit and everything went into lockdown and things changed. And then I applied to like 7 other positions before I got my offer. So I think it's important to not put all your eggs in one basket, and don't feel disheartened if you don't get interviews to everything you apply for. I think I just picked stuff that got me really excited. I never could have imagined that like my first actual job, because I've done like retail and like a hostess before, but this was like my first job related to what I was studying. I never would have thought I could have been working in a transition house. I really just picked what interested me and was really exciting. I think it's important not to limit yourself, because clearly with what I did at the beginning, it was not ideal because I was already so deep in without looking at anything else. By the time that didn't pan out, I was super stressed out. So keep your eyes open on simplicity. Things get posted nearly every day, I think. So there's so many opportunities. And when you read those job descriptions, I think don't apply to anything that you don't feel 100% that you would enjoy. Because then it's a waste of time for the employer if you're not going to be fully into the position. And and it's likely you won't even get picked because your passion won't shine through in your resume or your cover letter. I think the 2 applications that I did get chosen for was because that excitement was really showing through in my application. I did my first interview probably late February, early March. And then by the time I had gotten my first offer was near the end of May. Not hearing back right away, not getting offered interviews right away. When you do an interview, like not hearing back for, a couple days or weeks. When you're doing these applications, you're really showcasing all the best parts you have to offer about yourself. And then, when you don't hear back, it can almost feel personally hurtful. It's like, oh, like I'm not smart enough. I'm not likable. Like I'm not as experienced as everyone else. But I think it's important to remember that like not hearing back, that's no reflection on you and what you have to offer. It just means that you weren't the right fit for that job specifically. And I just started to reframe my thoughts, and instead of thinking that I'm not good enough, it's something better is waiting for me on the other side, and this is all just practice, so I can really shine in that opportunity that's waiting for me. Oh, I was really, really disheartened. That job I had held out for so long. And then on Simplicity, you know, I was checking the job status. You can see like, oh, if they pick someone, they're offering their interviews, and, you know, jobs are either getting filled or they were getting canceled because of COVID. And I had seriously considered deferring my search term. I had reached out to my coordinator, and I was really happy that she convinced me to keep searching. She told me, you know, even though those jobs you applied for are getting like canceled or some are getting filled, there's still so much that's going up. Like, don't give up yet. And, you know, in a couple of weeks, see if you still want to defer. And if I didn't listen to her, I would have never gotten my job. So I'm really, really grateful for that. But I think besides just, you know, that reassurance that jobs were going up, there was still stress that I wouldn't get one of the jobs that were going up. I think it was just helpful to talk to friends or family about the stress that you're feeling. They just reminded me that, like, right now there's so much uncertainty, everyone's feeling it. You know, schools are shut down, people are losing their jobs that they've had for so long. So just like be gentle with yourself, and, you know, if you do have spare time, like eat healthy, exercise, like do all those things that you never had the opportunity to before because your life was so crazy and hectic. And I think when you really take care of yourself, and that can help you build so much confidence, and it can lead to success because you're so like well rested, confident, taken care of, that like good things will come. The most useful thing I learned was how to write a strong resume and cover letter. At first, I was really frustrated. I was like, man, why do I have to customize like a new resume and cover letter for every single job? Like, this is taking up so much of my time. Like, how am I going to balance my school with this? But I think I realized by the end that, you know, it's so helpful to write all those different applications. You really learn about yourself and what you have to offer in so many different avenues. And not only that, it like putting that time and effort into a good resume and cover letter prepares you to do a really strong interview. And I think all of those applications, the more you do, the better you get. So sometimes it's good that you need to send in, you know, like 10 or 15 before you hear back. You're just getting so much practice. And when you sit down and write your first one, you know, you could be there for hours, just like contemplating everything. Like, do I even have good experience? But you can really pull from, even if you've never worked a job before, or you don't have much volunteer experience under your belt, like really think back to all those skills like you talked about that you develop from being a student. It takes so much like hard work, and you're a student for years, you know, there's lots to pull from. So yeah, don't feel disheartened when writing those first couple resumes and cover letters. You know, stress is important. It can, like a good level, healthy level of stress can push you to perform well, but once you're surpassing that, it's just not healthy. You need to make sure you're taking care of yourself. And I mean, with COVID, there's so much uncertainty, but with even prior to COVID, there's only so much control you have in a job search. You can put your best foot forward, and then I think it's so easy to get stressed out and overwhelmed and feel like if you don't get it, like it's your fault, but it's really out of your control. So I think being happy and knowing that you did your best effort, whether you get it or not, is really comforting.